Welcome to the Creative AI Show. What do we have this week, Brian?
Hey Rosh, happy to be here as always. We are two creative guys talking AI. And I had an interesting week. You asked me to do a video about the newest music GPT. I happily obliged, but I got into it a little bit, and you know what? It started to give me a little bit of this is getting a little uneasy.
Really?
It's starting to step on the musician in me's toes a little bit. It's getting far too easy to generate music that is more than acceptable.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'll sit on my soapbox a little bit here and talk about, what I think are acceptable ways to use this. There's been a couple commercials and advertisements that have hit me from Suno since I visited their website and, I turned on the retargeting stuff on Facebook. So they showed what I thought were some kind of acceptable uses for it. One was like a girlfriend breaking the news to her boyfriend that she broke his PS5, but she
no.
did it in a cute song. So, just fun ways like that. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a bit about my switch to Claude AI for the creative writing, and this is based on your advice, kind of why we do this show. We could talk about different uses of different LLMs for different directions. And then I had some fun with a kind of a standby tool that's been in Kling for some time, to the point where it only works with Kling 1.6. But I put the video up yesterday. It's already doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Talking about just extending the video and how you can be the director, give an extra prompt to an already good video, and have it then conclude in a fun way.
Sure.
So chat a bit about that, and then throw it back your way. What do you have going on?
So I'm really going to talk about more LLM kind of conversation and agent conversation. ChatGPT, OpenAI launched agent mode last week, and that it's huge. I mean, it's kind of like bring an operator to everyone, and there's good and bad to it. I will dig into that, and I'll talk a little bit about ChatGPT 5 and just some things you can do with the LLMs that you probably don't realize, including Claude, what you're talking about, because I have a feeling that people are not really using what is available to them. And so that's why I kind of want to dig into this stuff. And I'll do that in a couple parts.
That's perfect. Yeah, I mean, I've been guilty of this for, years now, where I find an LLM like, say, ChatGPT Omni that I've been comfortable with. It's kind of been my Swiss Army knife to handle most issues, and I'm realizing that I'm getting limited, results in those directions.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a year old. I mean, that's like a decade old
I
in this
know.
world.
It's not even dog years at this point.
Who
This
is you?
is
I mean,
AI
I use it to
years.
proofread emails, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I still like it. I mean, it's my default when I open up the app, but hey, we'll go down that direction there in a minute. Yeah. So, but Music GPT, which is not affiliated with OpenAI or ChatGPT, they just so happened to name it that way, so it had a little name recognition. But that dropped this past week, and it served as another competitor to Suno. Refusion we've talked about. There's another one. Google in there. Google Labs. There's a music generator in there. But Suno to me is still the king of the hill, and especially it's getting kind of big name recognition from producers like Timbaland and other ones like that, to where they're starting to pull the Band-Aid off of this world of AI generated music. Now I will talk about the band that came out that has 1 million views now, or 1 million listens on Spotify.
Right.
That was just a fake 70s rock band.
Right. Yeah.
And, they did nothing more than hopping in and, putting in some prompts to generate a band. They generated a whole backstory, and I'm using air quotes here for those of us who are just listening. They created a whole backstory for this band. They generated these different tracks, and you know what? They're all pretty good. But, when you're having a band that's kind of like a legacy act, if you will, to where they're replicating music of a certain time period, that's where Suno and Music GPT, they really do well. Why? Because that music's already been out for, multiple decades, and there's this, totality of music that they can draw from to grab inspiration. But at the end of the day, are you creating anything new here?
Right.
No. And that's where, my hackles go up as a musician, because, we're not progressing music. Things are not moving forward. Think about it. If Aerosmith only just pulled upon their 70s rock history, would a song like Walk This Way with Run DMC have come out?
Right, right.
You
Well,
know, where you're blending ideas, you're pushing boundaries, you're doing these different things. So this is going to continue to contribute to the making music stale, making it sterile. You know, stop pushing boundaries, and
but
that's we're
but
going.
you know, I would dare say hasn't music as of the last 10 years been that way anyway,
Oh yeah.
with just, all the vocal, just fixing everyone's vocals so they all sound the same,
Yep.
rather than the little, unique elements in someone's voice, because you can't have that, you
A
can't have
million
anything.
percent. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's a whole other conversation. But,
Yeah.
if we can take some of these tools and they do allow us to combine genres and push the boundaries, that's one thing, but that's still going to take that human director and vision to do it.
Yeah, and again, I'm good. I appreciate the pushback because I am definitely old man get off my lawn here right now in this conversation.
Hey, you know
Um,
what? You're talking to a photographer, trained my
yeah.
degrees in photography, and I create more AI images than I do photographs.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, I appreciate the full disclosure here. This isn't, a confessional, but but you know what? Yeah, can it be used to create listenable tracks? Yes. The point of my video partially was just to show just how easy this is to do. And you know what? If something is that easy to generate, is it worth the respect of something, say, like Bohemian Rhapsody, which was, generated by an absolute genius,
right. No,
Uh,
it's going to become very commonplace for, I would say call it pop style music.
yeah.
Really just middle of the road, everyday stuff. It's available to everyone.
Hmm.
So yeah, it, but again, I do, I have heart, I think it's still going to take people to push those limits
Yeah.
and to really create that vision for new work. But it's, it's what AI is doing right now is getting rid of average everywhere.
Yeah.
Average photography, average videography, average uh, music, average writing, all that is out the window. If that's all you produce, might
Yeah.
as well just use AI.
Right.
But if you
Hmm,
take it to the next level,
I
you
like
have
that.
something and an opportunity. And they're saying
Yeah.
that with even work, entry level work going quickly, entry level jobs, the unemployment rate for graduates has doubled in the last year. So you're now going to have to start. There's no more entry level anything. It's you got to be
Right.
at this point medium level or higher. And I think even in the future it'll just be you got to be at the top or you're going to
Yeah.
have problems.
Yeah, and you need to harness these tools. Where it's a slippery slope, say you're an artist who, hit that famous moment where you get to the end of your album and the producer's like, you know what, we need two more songs from you.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I know of, because my favorite content to consume is, people with their stories of how they write songs, and a
Hmm.
song like Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty.
Mm.
That was at the end of a greatest hits album. And
Yeah.
he's like, why am I going to put out a new single on this? How do I know it's a greatest hit? And the producers pushed him, no, no, Tom, we need something new. So he went home that night and literally wrote, a top 5 song for him.
Right.
And,
Right.
so sometimes that pushing really can bring out greatness. But now what's going to stop an artist from being like, oh man, my back's against the wall. Let me write a full prompt about my music style. Let me take some lyrics that are living in my phone and pop them into Suno and see what it comes up with, and maybe do 5 to 10 iterations of this song on Suno, download it, and then go to a different program. Now, some musicians are good enough to hear it by ear and
Hmm.
understand what chord progression was used. And then you're essentially teaching yourself to make a cover of your song that was
Yeah.
produced for you. And now what's to stop you from then going to the studio the next day after you've learned that cover and saying, no, this is my song?
Yeah. Well,
So,
nothing. And
yeah.
but if you use that as inspiration in some way, if it is new and it is your
Hmm.
style, I've had situations where I took a lot of notes and my notes and information and pull together, say, okay, take my style and create some kind of a draft of some sort of writing. And then
Hmm.
it's me, it's my stuff, it's my my investigation all in one area, and then I go through and really make it mine because
Right.
it a lot of the stuff was very average, but I knew if I went this way or that I would improve it. So there's always going to be that element. I think that people will still be able to take these foundations and improve them if
Yeah.
in other words, don't cut and paste, but and we've talked about that a lot. Don't just cut and paste, but use it as a is inspiration foundation from a area that, hey, maybe is related to you or even mirrors you. Why not? I
Yeah.
mean, it's an interesting tool. It's an interesting approach.
Yeah, I mean, it's given me interesting ideas for, say, vocal hooks and stuff to where it's
Sure.
like, okay, I wrote these lyrics. I wouldn't think of delivering the lyrics that way, but hey, it kind of works.
Yeah.
So, that's where I think we're going to continue to see a marrying and a blending of this. And also just, I think the general perception, they won't be as, traditionalist or purist as maybe my attitude is right now.
Yeah.
And that will start to progress and people will be like, I think in an interview right now, if a big name band is like, yeah, our newest album's out, we used AI to help write, this track, this track, this track, I think they would get a ton of flack for that right now. And
Maybe. I mean,
maybe.
if they just put in their sound and had
Hmm.
a machine generate it and say we just didn't do anything to it, but if it's inspired,
Yeah.
if you had some inspiration from, hey, and
Yeah.
AI helped inspire some of these ideas, and I understand, maybe a purist in certain bands that wouldn't fly. I think you're probably
Yeah.
right there.
But in 5 years, maybe that conversation's different. Maybe the
Yeah.
listener is like, oh, you know what? Maybe, this is their fifth album. Maybe they've broken out of their sound by using technology to progress. It's going to be this is going to be one of those areas where it's just going to be a slow changing of the guard here.
Yeah, I think so. But there's also some areas that I think, and we talked about this last week in the podcast about YouTube demonetizing
Yeah.
AI stuff. That's the way it's going to control. We're going to control AI
Yeah.
is through
The
demonetization.
money. Yeah.
If you make money through AI, yeah, great. But if there are ways to say, okay, you're using AI, I'm not going to pay you for it, or you're not going to be, awarded money or even awards,
Mhm.
for certain types of stuff. Put
Right.
AI in its category where it belongs, but certain areas, best, rock band, original rock band,
Right.
yeah, that's a category,
Better
and if
be
you have
pure.
AI in there, you're not winning the award. That kind of thing.
Right. I mean, but also I want to talk to our audience. It's like, don't look at this as just a cheap way to make money and create, 12 tracks from an album that you make in 10 minutes, put it on Spotify and try to take away listens from real artists who are already not making enough.
Yeah, right.
Then there's a big debate there on, the quality and worth of art and music. And, so again, this one's, I would love to hear in the comments from our listeners, what
Yes.
their take is on this. But I think that the debate is to be continued. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way. But
absolutely.
the technology is getting quicker,
It's
faster,
a good
better every single
conversation.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to have this conversation in various forms. Just, I mean, and I guess in some ways, I'm hearing you, but I feel like I had to throw in the towel a while ago.
Yeah.
Stock
I know.
photography's
Oh
dead.
yeah.
And we
I
said
know.
eventually video would be dead, and stock video, it's dead. I mean, you're not, but I have been hired to create, you know, videos because a lot of people still don't know how to do it or how to prompt it well, or they've dabbled with it and they just don't know how
Right.
to work with these tools. So there's going
Yeah.
to still be some of that too.
Very good. All right. Well, let's throw back to you. Let's talk a bit about LLMs and agents and all that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
OpenAI launched agent mode last week, and
Yeah.
basically that's operator available to the pro plan users and the what was the professional plan? I keep
Hmm.
forgetting it with a $200 one or whatever. I have that one, and the difference between the two, you get 440 in the pro plan request, you get 400 in the higher plan, and it's okay. It's okay. You know,
Okay.
there are examples of how you can have it order things for you and do things for you. That's fine, but you could probably do it faster yourself. I
Fair enough.
now one thing that's nice, and this is what I was talking about earlier about people not taking advantage of certain things. You can connect ChatGPT as well as Claude, and I believe Gemini too, and yeah, and others to other systems like Google Drive. remember early on, I was doing work with Operator. I was trying to get it. I gave it its own email, and I still have it, its own email, but now I
Hmm.
can just connect it, without without having to go through Google saying, "Huh, no, this is a bot that's trying to get through." You've connected it. You've given it permission. Now it can use Google Drive. So
Yeah.
agent mode can use Google Drive and can use Gmail and can use a number of other different types of tools very easily. And all you have to do is, when you look underneath there, there'll be three dots. Click on that, and it'll show you the different tools, and you'll be surprised. It could be something you use on a regular basis. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Take a look and see if there is a tool that you use regularly or as part of your process. And that's where agents are going to be the most valuable. Regular everyday processes that you do. And if you can connect to some kind of a tool that you use regularly to help you with your work, that's where it's going to be valuable. It's
Right.
still kind of slow. It's still kind of slow. I'm not that impressed. Having used Operator, having used other agents, they're getting there, but they're still very slow employees. Have you connected anything?
No, actually, as you're talking about this, I have my GPT-4 Omni page here, and I don't see where where I can choose the models. I can choose GPT-4 5, 4.1, 4.1 mini, but I'm not
Underneath
seeing anything in
the box there, do you see a three dots?
three
It up.
dots underneath the
Maybe it's only
box.
in Pro or something.
Yeah, because I got the three. I can do add to project, new project, archive
No.
report. But yeah, I'm paying
Now
the
maybe
20
you
a
can't
month.
connect then. Maybe you
Yeah,
can't connect
maybe it
without being a
doesn't.
paid subscriber. Um,
Yeah, you see, I'm a paid subscriber, so all
well,
right.
then you
Well,
should have
maybe
it.
we'll talk offline about this and try
Yeah,
to figure out
yeah.
a way to connect to it.
So, so
Yeah, I'm
yeah, so
curious.
that's where I think people should really look though, because where you can, I know you can with Claude, and so you can connect, say, Drive with Claude, and you said you're going to go over to that, and you'll talk more about that.
Hmm.
And one thing I want to share, one thing we've really been pounding with OpenAI and the ChatGPTs. They're just not that creative. And that's where
Yeah.
Claude really accelerates. But there is an alpha mode out there right now that they're looking at that's been developing websites in a very high level from OpenAI. And now
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be separate. It wouldn't make sense if it was separate, but it may be a version or an element of ChatGPT 5 that is the more creative Claude-like element.
Good.
So that
Yeah,
that
and
could be coming. So
I'm
I'll
definitely
stop
excited
there.
for that.
Have you go, share some of what you're going to share, because I have a little bit more on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, for months now, with our videos that we put up each day, I will typically use Omni, so GPT-4 with the lowercase o, kind of its default mode.
Yep.
I've been using that for prompts for images or for videos or for different things, and then I'll typically go over to Rev or some other creator and use those prompts. And I asked it maybe for some lyrics when I did this Music GPT one, and I keep trying to say to it, hey, give me random scenes, give me random scenes. And every time it's a samurai or it's steampunk or it's,
Yeah.
these kind of default, like only 5 or 6 different things that it thinks is random. And
Yeah.
it's still very much keeping itself in a box. I want it to be as open-ended and creative as possible. So it was actually, I was watching a video about Suno from my favorite YouTube creator who in the music world, he's like a top 10 YouTube creator. His name is Rick Beato.
Yep. Didn't he create that 70s band?
No, he didn't, but
I thought he
he
did.
no, he did a video about it, and the title of the video was "This Song Sucks," and I
Okay.
was like, okay, that's a good clickbait headline.
But I
But
thought he said, but I saw that video. I thought he said it sucks because I created it.
no, he created his own to be just
Oh,
like
okay.
this.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I misunderstood that. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, but in that video, he got the idea for the band from ChatGPT, but then the lyrics that he wanted to create the songs with, he popped over to Claude, and I was like, oh, you know what? Rosh been talking about this for a while, but I don't trust Rosh. But if Rick does it, then
Smart move.
then yeah, exactly. But no, if he's doing that, I'm like, all right. And then you know what? Honestly, I've been using it all week. My YouTube head like titles and descriptions have been, I think, a ton better. My prompts that I've been giving it have been a ton better. It's just I really think that they kind of, I don't want to say OpenAI gave up on GPT-4 Omni, but like you said, it's been out a year, and in AI years, that's like a decade. Um, and
Right.
yeah, so he went and used it, and you know what? I was like, you know what? I've already been using it for a few different other things, but it's so much better, and it's
Yeah.
not all the same downfalls of it. And when
Well,
I
it's
asked
more on the
more out
level
of it,
of '03,
yeah,
so except a little more creative and a little more, user friendly. I mean, '03 is actually pretty quick. It's, the Pro is the one's going to hold you back. But yeah, three, yeah. Anyway, go
how do
ahead.
you quantify creativity, though? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, that's one of the big things we're talking about here, where computers are sitting here,
yeah,
trying to quantify creativity. But Claude, whatever it's got in its programming, it's got it figured out. It's funnier. It
yeah,
writes better scenes. It's better at being random. So, my advice to our audience is if you're stuck in your same LLM lane, break out of that lane a little bit every
yeah,
now and then.
yeah,
Hop over, try Gemini, try
yeah.
Grok, try Perplexity, and see if, your typical kind of downfalls or shortcomings of your favorite LLM, maybe it's time to switch gears.
Yeah, and I've done exactly that. I've used Gemini a lot more. I like
Okay.
Claude, but I have some issues in terms of the amount because I throw in a lot of stuff. I'm using a lot of tokens in there, and
Good.
sometimes Claude will shut me down a little bit. But yeah, when I want something to look pretty, especially in the code side, I will create the base in maybe Gemini or ChatGPT, and then for the final beautification of it, I will then send it over to Claude and make it
Nice.
cool. So that
Cool.
that works out pretty well. So having a few is pretty is a good idea. It really
Yeah.
is.
And I think a lot of people's complaints about ChatGPT in general is probably because I'd say 95% of their efforts right now are on GPT-5, and
Yeah.
we're all just kind of standby and holding and waiting for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, ChatGPT has been seen in the wild. There's been some code out there. There's actually a little disturbance in the force this morning. My fingers were crossed. Who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? Who knows? We've seen it before, but 4.0 was not working at all for me, and
Mm.
and then '03 was getting stuck on some stuff. So I'm thinking, maybe.
Something's happening.
We'll
Right.
see, but it has been seen. It is really getting close. And I think that we need to start thinking about how we're going to use these platforms a little bit better. Um,
Yeah.
so let me stop here. Were you done with what
Oh,
you're
yeah,
saying?
no, it
Yeah,
was a
okay.
perfect handoff
All
to you.
right, all
Yep.
right. I didn't want to stop you if you had more. But it was a good segue because I mean, it being out in the wild, that's usually when people start seeing it in the code, then they know it's about to go. And that's going to be important because it's going to have more of an agent mode approach. The agent mode, I'm sure, is just for testing, really,
Mhm.
for us to test it so they can, because it's all going to be all in one. And we're assuming it's going to be like the 4.0 Omni, where it'll create images, video, everything for you, and as well as become your agent. So one thing you can do to prepare is start to develop recipes. And we've talked about this before when working with agents. And this is what you're going to want to do with five, I think, is have some recipes to help you work. Go through and make note of maybe the smaller things, the regular things that you do. For example, in my world, I have to go to certain websites that allow me to add team members. And so I'll
Mhm.
add Agent Otto and sign in via that Google account. And Agent Otto can go over there and create the report and send it to me or a client or whatever needs to be done. And you will be able to set up times, say every morning at 6 o'clock. Agent Otto, go do this or go do that. But the thing is, it could be 20 things. They could have you
Right.
so prepared at the beginning of the day that you just send things out, little notes, do what you got to do, compile things, have the information you need, and this is going to eventually become more actual work for you and really allow you to do more of the things that you want to do. In some ways, these agents and AI is far from where we think they are. There are many ways they're really not that good. They really are slow. And they are going to continue to improve, but you're gonna need to be able to guide them. And developing these recipes, I think, is going to give you an advantage before this comes out. Start playing with it and play with,
Right.
if you have access to Chat GPT 5, or excuse me, Chat GPT right now, and you have agent mode, even if you have 40 different options in the pro mode, try it out and try a few of your recipes just to start preparing. Consider attaching different types of tools that you use if it's
Mhm.
available. More and more are going to be coming online. See how that works, because it really is going to be a good assistant for you over time. And I think too many companies are putting too much on these agents and AI to take over for people. I think it's still a hair too early for that. And
Right.
some of them are getting pummeled for doing that in a bad way.
Now, my main question is, when you install your newest toaster, is there a ChatGPT install option there? Is that
Soon,
what's are we there?
soon.
I know you've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know it's in the refrigerators, so it's
Yeah,
coming to a
yes.
toaster near you. So,
Yeah.
all right,
No,
what do
they
you
can
got?
make a shopping
I'm
list
off
for you.
my
All right.
soapbox, so
Okay, good. Well, I have one quick other one about a video that I did yesterday that I'm enjoying just with Kling Extend. So Kling again, I got my credits got refreshed. I was excited to be back in the world of Kling, and I decided to play with a tool that I think it's had for some time because it's
Mhm.
it's only integrated with 1.6,
Right.
but we've never really talked about it. And that is when you get a really good scene with Kling, say 5 or 8 seconds of a really, really good one, and you don't want to try to do a framed video where you grab the last frame of
Right.
that, and then give it a whole new prompt. You can then extend. So what this does is it takes the information from the previous prompt, but then allows you to direct it one step further. So a lot of the scenes that I was working on were, a little more in the dark, mysterious kind of sci-fi world.
Hmm.
And I got to make, a main character or an object do a thing and then had it fade to black at the end of the scene and, change the lighting subtly to change the mood. And it did it absolutely flawlessly. I was
Nice.
really, really impressed with its output there. So, instead of having a really good 5 second scene, I now had a 10 second scene. And say if I'm making a music video and I'm only going to use 3 seconds at a time, that's a good amount extra of content that I
Yeah.
don't have to generate from something else new. And, it's just another direction to be an AI director when you are creating these things. If you're using Kling 1.6, and also now it's been adding sounds to the whole clip for free. So
Hmm.
it's actually retroactively adding sounds to the original clip and then the extended clip
Yeah.
now that Kling updated this. So a lot of these videos I'd produced, months back before they did add the sound. So, I mean, it takes a little while. And I would say its prompt adherence was like in the 90% world.
No, it's not bad.
So it was good. So
Yeah.
when I first started, I gave it like a super complex prompt written by Claude, 2 paragraphs worth.
Oh, wow.
And it did it and it grabbed a bit. But then when I simplified the prompt and simplified the direction, it actually did better. So, a little less is
Yeah,
more
that
is kind
being
of my advice.
1.6. So, but
Yep.
1.6 was a
Was
big
good.
upgrade, and is
Yeah.
still all the special effects, I think, in Kling are 1.6 for the
Yeah.
most part. They're 2.0, I noticed the other day, is going away. So
Yeah.
you won't have, so they'll just have 2.1, but you'll still
2.1.
have 1.6 and
Yeah.
attached to all these other great tools.
Yeah, and I think these other tools, that's going to be one of the next updates with Kling is that they're going to become 2.1 compatible.
Yeah.
I've
That'd be
definitely seen an improvement. I know when 2.0 first came out and 2.1 first came out, neither of us were super impressed versus 1.6. 1.6 to us, we were tried,
That brought
excuse me,
what
tried and
we
true. Yeah.
imagined to life,
Yeah.
that's like, oh wow, here we go, it's
Yeah.
here.
So another little bit of advice before we end here today is just because your favorite LLM or your favorite tool like Kling has come up with its latest version, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best for you and your application. Don't be afraid to visit a previous version or previous iteration. Oftentimes it'll be less credits, so you're not, not spending as much, and you're getting the outputs you expect based on the prompting that you've already been giving it. So sometimes, I look at it like in golf. Anytime I get a new iron or a new club or something, I'm not going to be good the next time I play out there. I need to learn how to use this new tool to get better. So, sometimes you want to get the old driver out of the garage because it's tried and true, and you could be in the center of the fairway. You might be 30 yards behind somebody, but fairway's fairway. Yeah. So, that's a little kind of a golf comparison there. So, but yeah, you know what, Rosh? I think we hit on our points today. How you feeling?
Good. Yeah, I think we got it all. I got off my soapbox. I didn't twist my ankle or anything like that. So,
yeah. And no kids went on my lawn
soapbox.
Today,
I mean, hey, that's great. All right. Well, you've been listening to Two Creative Guys Talking AI.
We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.